I'm standing in his mother's living room, watching my husband of 15 years sob on his knees, begging me not to call the woman he's been married to for the past 12 years. The pregnancy test in my hand isn't mine. It's hers. Let me go back to where this nightmare actually started 3 weeks ago, when I should have died but didn't. The impact came from nowhere. One second I was driving home from the grocery store, humming along to some pop song on the radio, thinking about what to make for dinner. The next second, metal was screaming, glass was exploding, and my world went sideways. Literally. My car flipped twice before landing upside down in a ditch off Highway 42. I remember hanging there, suspended by my seatbelt, blood dripping upward into my hair, thinking this was it. This was how my story ended. 37 years old, dead in a ditch with a carton of milk and a bag of apples scattered across the asphalt. But I didn't die. I woke up in St. Mary's Hospital 2 days later with a concussion, 3 cracked ribs, a fractured wrist, and my husband Marcus crying beside my bed. He looked terrible. His eyes were red and swollen. His shirt was wrinkled like he'd slept in it, and he was holding my good hand so tight it almost hurt. When I opened my eyes, he made this sound, this broken sob of relief, and pressed his forehead against our joined hands. "Thank God," he kept saying. "Thank God, thank God, thank God." The doctors came in, did their tests, shined lights in my eyes, asked me questions. "What's your name?" "Emma Richardson." "What year is it?" 2024. "Who's the president?" I answered everything correctly. They seemed satisfied. Marcus seemed relieved. But I noticed something. When the doctor asked if I remembered the accident, and I said yes, Marcus's face fell just a little. Just a tiny flicker of disappointment that crossed his features so fast I almost missed it. Almost. That's when the idea came to me. It wasn't planned. It wasn't calculated. It was just instinct, some deep gut feeling that something was wrong, that Marcus was hiding something, and if I wanted to find out what, I needed an advantage. So when the doctor left and Marcus leaned forward to stroke my hair, I looked at him with wide, confused eyes and said the words that would change everything. "I'm sorry, but who are you?" The color drained from his face. "Emma, baby, it's me. It's Marcus. Your husband." I let my eyes fill with tears, let my voice shake. "I don't understand. I don't remember. I don't remember anything." I'd like to say I felt guilty about the lie. I didn't. Because in that moment, watching him process what I'd just said, I saw something flash across his face that confirmed my instinct. It wasn't devastation. It wasn't heartbreak. It was relief. Pure, unmistakable relief. My husband was relieved that I couldn't remember our life together. And that told me everything I needed to know. Something was very, very wrong. The doctors called it retrograde amnesia. Apparently, it's common with head trauma. They said my memories might come back gradually, or all at once, or never. Marcus played the devoted husband perfectly. He brought me flowers, sat by my bed for hours, showed me photo albums from our wedding, our vacations, our life together. He was patient and kind and attentive. And the whole time I was watching him, studying him, looking for cracks in the facade. They released me after 5 days. Marcus took a week off work to help me adjust to being home. A beautiful 3-bedroom house in the suburbs of Richmond, Virginia, with a manicured lawn and a white picket fence and everything that's supposed to represent the American dream. He showed me around like I was a guest, pointing out where we kept the dishes, how to work the TV remote, which side of the bed was mine. I played along, asking innocent questions, pretending to be amazed by mundane details. "We've been married 15 years. I asked, staring at our wedding photo on the mantel. 15 wonderful years, he said, wrapping his arms around me from behind. "Best decision I ever made was asking you to marry me." I leaned back against him, feeling his heart beat against my spine, and wondered what other decisions he'd made that I didn't know about. The first real clue came 3 days after I got home. Marcus had gone back to work, returning to his job as a regional sales manager for a pharmaceutical company. He traveled a lot for work. Always had. 2, sometimes 3 nights a week, He'd be gone to different cities, different states, closing deals, meeting clients, building relationships. It never bothered me before. Or at least, the me I was pretending not to be had never been bothered by it. But now, everything bothered me. Everything was suspect. I was going through his dresser, looking for nothing and everything when I found the phone. It was buried under his winter sweaters, wrapped in a sock. Second phone. A phone I'd never seen before. My hands were shaking as I pulled it out, pressed the power button and watched it light up. No password. He didn't think he needed one because I wasn't supposed to know it existed. The home screen was a photo of Marcus with 2 kids. A boy and a girl, maybe 8 and 10 years old. They were at a beach, all smiling, all happy, all looking like a perfect family. My stomach dropped. My vision tunneled. I sat down hard on the edge of the bed, staring at this image, trying to process what I was seeing. Marcus had children. We didn't have children. We'd tried for years, gone through 3 rounds of IVF, suffered 2 miscarriages, and eventually accepted that it wasn't going to happen for us. That loss had been devastating for both of us. Or so I thought. I scrolled through the phone with numb fingers. Text messages to someone named Sarah. Hundreds of them. Years of them. Miss you. Love you. Can't wait to be home. Tell the kids I'll call before bedtime. Home. He called wherever she was home. There were photos. So many photos. Birthday parties, Christmas mornings, soccer games, school plays. Marcus at a dinner table with Sarah and the kids. Marcus pushing the little girl on a swing. Marcus helping the boy with homework. Marcus living an entire life I knew nothing about. I found the address in his contacts. Sarah Mitchell. Lincoln, Nebraska. 1,000 miles away from Richmond. Far enough that the 2 lives never had to intersect. Far enough that he could keep both of us completely separate. I sat there for 2 hours just scrolling, just looking, just trying to understand how this was possible. How could he do this? How could he maintain 2 families, 2 lives, 2 complete separate existences without either of us knowing? Then I found the marriage certificate in his email. Marcus Richardson and Sarah Mitchell, married 12 years ago in a small ceremony in Omaha. 12 years. We'd been married for 15, which meant for 12 of those years, he'd been married to both of us. Bigamy. That's what they called it. He was a bigamist. I was technically his first wife, which meant his marriage to Sarah was illegal. But did that make it better or worse? Did it matter which of us was the legal wife when both of us were living a lie? I heard his car pull into the driveway and quickly shoved the phone back where I found it. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might break through my ribs. I went downstairs, put on a smile, and greeted him at the door like nothing had changed. Like I hadn't just discovered that my entire marriage was a fraud. Like I was still Emma who didn't remember anything instead of Emma who now knew everything. "How was your day?" he asked, kissing my cheek. "Quiet," I said. "I'm still figuring out where everything is." "Take your time," he said. "There's no rush." But there was a rush. Because now I knew the truth, and I had to decide what to do with it. Part of me wanted to confront him right then, throw the phone in his face, scream and cry and demand answers. But another part of me, a colder, more calculating part, knew that wasn't the smart play. If I confronted him now, he'd deny it, manipulate me, gaslight me into thinking I was crazy or confused because of my amnesia. He'd had years of practice lying. He was good at it. Better than I'd ever imagined. So instead I decided to play a different game. I decided to let him think he'd gotten away with it. Let him think I was still in the dark, still the helpless amnesiac wife who needed his guidance and support. Meanwhile I'd gather evidence, build my case, and when I was ready, when I had everything I needed, I'd burn his entire life to the ground. Over the next week, I became a detective in my own life. Every time Marcus left for work, I was in his things. I found bank statements showing regular transfers to an account in Nebraska. I found receipts from restaurants and hotels in Lincoln. I found birthday cards from the kids, calling him Dad. I found love letters from Sarah, talking about their life together, their plans for the future, how grateful she was that he'd chosen to build a family with her. I also found his calendar, the real one he kept hidden on his secret phone. It laid out his schedule in brutal detail. Monday through Wednesday in Richmond with me. Thursday through Sunday in Lincoln with Sarah and the kids. Sometimes variations if he had to travel for actual work, but mostly it was consistent. Perfect split. 3 days with wife number 1, 4 days with wife number 2. He even had reminders set. Call Emma before bed. Tell Sarah good night. He'd systematized his deception, made it routine, ordinary, manageable. The more I learned, the angrier I became. But I kept it inside. I bottled it up and let it ferment into something cold and focused. Anger is hot and messy and makes you do stupid things. What I needed was precision. Strategy. Revenge isn't about destroying someone in a fit of passion. It's about dismantling them piece by piece until there's nothing left. I started with the money. Using the information from his statements, I traced his accounts, figured out his passwords from hints on his phone, and discovered he'd been siphoning money from our joint accounts for years to support his second family. Tens of thousands of dollars. Maybe more. Money that was supposed to be ours, that I'd contributed to through my own work as a graphic designer, was being spent on another woman and her children. Our children legally, since he was my husband first. I contacted a lawyer not to file for divorce yet, but to understand my options. I told him I suspected my husband of infidelity and financial fraud, that I needed to protect myself. He asked if I had proof. I said I'd have proof soon. He told me to document everything, which I was already doing. I photographed every document, every text message, every piece of evidence I could find. I uploaded it all to a secure cloud drive that Marcus couldn't access. Then I did something that might seem cruel but felt necessary. I hired a private investigator to follow Marcus when he was in Nebraska. I needed to see it with my own eyes, or at least through someone else's camera. I needed confirmation that this wasn't some elaborate misunderstanding, that there was no innocent explanation for what I'd found. The investigator sent me photos 2 days later. Marcus kissing Sarah goodbye in the morning as he left for work. Marcus at the kids' soccer game, cheering in the stands. Marcus at a restaurant, holding Sarah's hand across the table, looking at her the way he used to look at me, before life and losses and lies came between us. Except there was no between us. There was just him, living 2 lives, and us, his wives, neither knowing the other existed. That's when I decided it was time for phase 2 of my plan. Exposure. Because Marcus had gotten away with this for so long by keeping everything separate, by making sure his 2 worlds never collided. So I was going to collide them. Spectacularly. I found Sarah's phone number in Marcus's contacts. I found her social media, her Facebook page full of pictures of her happy family, of Marcus and the kids, of their life together. She had him listed as her husband. She had no idea she was sharing him. In her world, Marcus was a devoted father and husband who traveled for work. In my world, he was the same thing. We were mirror images of each other, both believing we had something real, something exclusive, something true. I could have called her right then. Dropped the bomb and watched everything explode. But I wanted Marcus to be the one who told her. I wanted him to have to face what he'd done to both of us, and I wanted to watch it happen. So I planned a family dinner. I told Marcus I wanted to do something special, that even though I couldn't remember our life together, I wanted to start building new memories. He was thrilled, touched even. He suggested we invite his mother, who lived nearby. I agreed, and then I made a suggestion of my own. What about your family in Nebraska? I asked innocently. Don't you have relatives there you've mentioned? He went pale. Completely white. For a second I thought he might pass out. Nebraska, he echoed. Yeah, I said, tilting my head like I was trying to remember. I found some addresses in your phone when I was looking for your mom's number. Sarah something. Is she your sister? I thought it might be nice to meet more of your family since I can't remember anyone. I watched him scramble, watched his brain work overtime trying to figure out how much I knew, what I'd found, how to explain it away. Oh, Sarah's just an old colleague, he finally said. We worked together years ago. Haven't talked to her in ages. Really? I pulled out my own phone, where I'd screenshotted one of his recent texts to her. Because it looks like you texted her yesterday. Miss you, can't wait to see you Thursday. That doesn't sound like an old colleague. The silence that followed was suffocating. Marcus stared at me and I stared back, and in that moment the pretense dropped. He knew that I knew. And I knew that he knew I knew. The game was over. Emma, he started, his voice shaking. I can explain. Can you? I asked, my voice deadly calm. Can you explain how you've been married to 2 women for 12 years? Can you explain how you have 2 children I never knew about? Can you explain how you stole from me, lied to me, and built an entire secret life while I was here thinking we were trying to move forward after losing our babies? He opened his mouth, closed it, opened it again. No words came out. What could he possibly say? I found your other phone, I continued. I found the bank statements, the receipts, the photos, the messages, everything. I know about Sarah. I know about Jake and Lily. I know about the house in Lincoln and the soccer games and the birthday parties and every single moment of the life you've been living without me. It's not what you think, he finally managed. Then what is it, Marcus? What possible explanation is there that makes this okay? He sank down onto the couch, put his head in his hands. I was going to tell you. When? After another 12 years. After 20. When were you planning to tell me that you're a bigamist? Don't call it that, he said sharply. That's what it's called. You married Sarah while you were still married to me. That's bigamy. That's illegal. That's fraud. I love her, he said, and those 3 words hurt more than anything else he could have said. Not I'm sorry. Not I made a mistake. Love her. Did you ever love me? Yes. Of course I did. Do. Emma, you have to understand, after the miscarriages, after we decided to stop trying, something broke between us. We were just going through the motions, living parallel lives in the same house. And then I met Sarah on a business trip, and she was different. She was light and easy and uncomplicated. We started talking and it became more, and before I knew it, she was pregnant. So you married her. She wanted the baby to have a father, a real family. And I wanted that too. I wanted to be a dad, Emma. We couldn't have kids, but Sarah could, and I thought I could do both. I thought I could make both of you happy. By lying to both of us. I was trying to protect you. To protect both of you. I never wanted either of you to get hurt. I laughed. Actually laughed. It was either that or scream. You never wanted us to get hurt. Marcus, you married another woman while you were married to me. You had children with her. You split your life in half and gave her the better pieces. The weekends, the holidays, the kids. What did I get? 3 days a week of a husband who was always exhausted, always distracted, always somewhere else in his head because he was thinking about them. That's not fair. Fair. You want to talk about fair? Let me tell you what's going to happen now. I'm going to call Sarah and tell her everything. I'm going to tell her that you're married to me, that you've been lying to her just like you've been lying to me. Then I'm going to file for divorce and take everything I'm legally entitled to, which is half of everything we accumulated during our marriage, including all the money you stole to support your other family. Then I'm going to press charges for bigamy and fraud. And then I'm going to make sure everyone knows what you did. Your boss, your colleagues, your friends, your family. Everyone. Emma, please, he begged. Don't do this. Think about the kids. They don't deserve to have their lives destroyed. You should have thought about that before you created them in a marriage built on lies. Those kids deserve to know the truth about their father. Sarah deserves to know the truth about her husband. And I deserve justice. He got down on his knees, actually got on his knees like he was proposing or praying, tears streaming down his face. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I know I messed up. I know I hurt you. But please, please don't call Sarah. Don't tell her. Give me a chance to fix this. How? Yes. How do you fix this, Marcus? How do you make this right? I'll leave her. I'll end it with Sarah and come back to you full time. We can start over. You said you wanted to build new memories. We can do that. Just us. Like it used to be. It was never just us. Even in the beginning, when you were supposedly committed to me, you were already looking for something else. Someone else. This isn't fixable. What do you want then? Tell me what you want and I'll do it. What did I want? I'd been asking myself that question for 2 weeks. First, I wanted revenge. I wanted him to suffer the way I was suffering. But revenge is empty. Destroying his life wouldn't undo the years he'd stolen from me. It wouldn't erase the lies or heal the betrayal. What I really wanted was something I could never have. I wanted those 15 years back. I wanted the truth. I wanted a husband who chose me, only me, always me. Since I couldn't have that, I settled for the next best thing. Closure. Justice. A chance to control the narrative instead of being a victim in someone else's story. I want you to tell your mother, I said finally. Tonight. I want you to sit down with her and tell her everything. Then I want you to drive to Nebraska and tell Sarah face to face. Not over the phone. Not through text. In person. I want you to tell her that you've been married to me for 15 years, that our marriage was first, that legally you're not even really her husband. And then I want you to tell her that I know everything and I'm giving her the choice of what to do next. What choice? Whether to press charges or not. I'm filing for divorce either way, but the bigamy charges, those are up to her. If she wants to pursue them, I'll support her. If she doesn't, I'll let it go. But she gets to decide. She deserves that much. Marcus looked like he might be sick. And what about you? What are you going to do? I'm going to rebuild my life without you. I'm going to see a therapist and process this trauma. I'm going to focus on my work and my friends and figuring out who I am outside of this marriage. And eventually, maybe, I'll find someone who actually deserves me. Someone who doesn't need 2 wives to feel complete. Emma. He reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Don't. You lost the right to touch me the day you married someone else. Now get out. Go tell your mother. And then go tell Sarah. You have 24 hours. If you don't tell them by this time tomorrow, I will. And I promise you, my version won't be as kind as yours. He left. She left. I heard him get in his car and drive away. And I stood in the middle of our living room, surrounded by 15 years of memories and lies, and I felt something unexpected. Relief. Not happiness, not satisfaction, but relief. The truth was finally out in the open. The game was over. Whatever happened next, at least it would be real. Marcus did go to his mother that night. I know because she called me 3 hours later, sobbing, apologizing, saying she had no idea, that if she'd known she would have said something. I believed her. Marcus's mother was a good woman, a honest woman. This would devastate her. Her son, the bigamist. Her daughter-in-law, the unknowing other woman. Her grandchildren, the products of fraud. This would reshape her entire understanding of her family. The next evening, I got a call from an unknown number with a Nebraska area code. My hand shook as I answered it. Is this Emma? A woman's voice asked. She sounded young. Tired. Yes. This is Sarah Mitchell. Or I guess Sarah Richardson. I don't even know anymore. She laughed, but it was hollow. Marcus just left. He told me everything. I'm sorry, I said, and I meant it. I'm sorry you had to find out this way. Did you really have amnesia from the accident? No, I admitted. I faked it. When I woke up and saw his reaction, I knew something was wrong. I needed time to figure out what. That's smart, she said quietly. Smarter than I ever was. I never questioned anything. He said he traveled for work, and I believed him. He said he couldn't come to every soccer game or every parent-teacher conference because of his schedule, and I believed him. I never looked at his phone or checked his emails or suspected anything. I was just grateful to have him at all. It's not your fault. Isn't it? I mean, I married a man I barely knew. We'd only been dating for 4 months when I got pregnant. I should have been more careful, more suspicious, more something. He's the one who lied. To both of us. For years. That's on him, not us. There was a long pause. I could hear her breathing. Hear the catch in her throat that meant she was trying not to cry. The kids are devastated, she said finally. Jake keeps asking if Daddy's coming back. Lily won't come out of her room. They don't understand why everything's falling apart. Guilt hit me like a punch to the stomach. Those kids were innocent in all this. They didn't ask to be born into a lie. They didn't deserve to have their world shattered because of their father's choices and my need for revenge. What are you going to do? I asked. I don't know, she said. Part of me wants to press charges. Let him rot in jail for what he did to us. But the other part of me thinks about the kids and how much worse it'll be for them if their father goes to prison. They've already lost so much. Their family, their stability, their trust. Taking away their father completely feels cruel. Whatever you decide, I'll support it, I told her. This is your choice. Marcus said you're filing for divorce. I am. Me too, she said. Even if the marriage wasn't legal, I want it officially ended. I want paperwork that says I'm done with him. And I want child support. Lots of it. For the next 10 years at least. Good, I said. Take him for everything he's worth. She laughed again, more genuine this time. You know what's crazy? In another universe we probably could have been friends. Maybe in this universe too, I said. Once we get through this. We're survivors of the same disaster. That creates a bond. Yeah, she said softly. Maybe it does. We talked for another hour. Swapped stories, compared notes, filled in the gaps of our shared history with Marcus. It was surreal and painful and somehow cathartic. By the end of the call I felt like I understood him better, or maybe just understood that I'd never really known him at all. The man I married, the man Sarah married, neither of them were the real Marcus. The real Marcus was the one capable of sustaining two lives simultaneously, the one who could compartmentalize so effectively that he never slipped up, never got confused, never accidentally called one of us by the other's name. That level of deception requires a particular kind of person. Not just a liar, but someone who's fundamentally disconnected from normal human empathy and guilt. Sarah decided not to press charges. She said it was for the kids, but I think it was also for herself. She wanted to move forward, not stay trapped in the past by a lengthy legal battle. Understood. Felt the same way. So we filed our divorces, divided our assets, and started the process of untangling our lives from the man who'd tangled them together. The divorce took 6 months. Marcus tried to fight it at first, tried to claim that I'd abandoned him by faking amnesia, that I'd been emotionally abusive, that I owed him a chance to explain and make amends. His lawyer didn't get far with those arguments. The evidence was overwhelming. The secret phone, the second family, the financial fraud. My lawyer buried him in documentation, and eventually, Marcus gave up and settled. I got the house in Richmond, half of our savings, and a portion of his retirement accounts. Sarah got child support, 12 years of back payments for what he should have been contributing all along, and a house Marcus had been paying for in Lincoln. Between the two of us, we took about 70% of everything he had. He was left with his job, a small apartment, and the knowledge that he'd destroyed 2 families because he was too selfish and cowardly to choose just one. But here's the thing nobody tells you about revenge. It doesn't feel as good as you think it will. Yes, I got justice. Yes, Marcus paid for what he did. Yes, Sarah and I both got closure and the chance to move on. But I still lost 15 years. I still went through the trauma of discovering that my entire marriage was a lie. I still had to rebuild my sense of self-worth and learn to trust again. Revenge might be satisfying in the moment, but it doesn't erase the damage. Just makes the score feel a little more even. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I did something I never expected. I drove to Lincoln, Nebraska, and met Sarah in person. We'd stayed in touch through text and occasional phone calls, bonding over our shared experience, but we'd never actually been face to face. She invited me to dinner at her house, and I said yes. She looked exactly like her photos. Pretty in a girl next door kind of way, with blonde hair and blue eyes and a warm smile. The kids were there too, Jake and Lily, both shy at first but gradually warming up as the evening went on. We ordered pizza, watched a movie, and talked about our lives, our jobs, our plans for the future. It was surprisingly normal. Comfortable even. At one point, after the kids went to bed, Sarah poured us each a glass of wine and we sat on her back porch, looking up at the stars. "Do you ever wonder what he's doing?" she asked. "Not really," I said. "I try not to think about him at all." "I do," she admitted. "Not because I miss him but because I'm still trying to understand. How does someone do what he did? How do you live two completely separate lives and not feel guilty?" "I don't think he did feel guilty," I said. "I think that's the problem. Normal people couldn't maintain that level of deception because the guilt would eat them alive. But Marcus isn't normal. He's something else. Sociopath maybe. Or just profoundly selfish." "Do you think he loved either of us?" I've been asking myself that question for months. I think he loved the idea of us, the life we represented. But I don't think he loved us as real, whole people. If he had, he couldn't have done what he did. Sarah nodded slowly. "Jake asked me the other day if his dad was a bad person. I didn't know what to say. How do you explain to a 10-year-old that their father isn't bad, just incredibly flawed? Is that what you believe? That he's not bad?" "I want to believe it," she said. "For the kids' sake. But honestly, I don't know. What he did was bad. Does that make him bad? Or just human?" "I think it makes him both," I said. "We're all capable of terrible things under the right circumstances. But most of us don't act on those impulses because we have empathy and morals and basic human decency. Marcus acted on them. Repeatedly. For years. That's a choice, not a circumstance." We sat in silence for a while, drinking our wine, listening to the crickets chirp in the darkness. Finally, Sarah spoke again. "Thank you," she said. "For what?" "For giving me the choice. When you found out, you could have just blown up his whole life immediately. Called me, called his boss, called the police. But you let him tell me first. You gave me agency in my own story. That meant a lot." "We're both victims here," I said. "It didn't feel right to make decisions for you without your input. Still, not everyone would have done that. Especially after what he did to you." Shrugged. "Revenge is complicated. It's not just about making someone pay. It's about reclaiming your power, your narrative, your life. I couldn't do that by steamrolling over you. We had to do it together." "Well," Sarah raised her glass. "To doing it together. And to new beginnings." I clinked my glass against hers. To new beginnings. That night, lying in the guest bedroom of Sarah's house, I thought about how strange life is. How you can go from being unknowing rivals to unexpected allies. How trauma can break you or reshape you into something stronger. How revenge can be hollow or healing depending on how you pursue it. I thought about Marcus too, alone in his apartment, living with the consequences of his choices. Part of me hoped he was miserable. Part of me hoped he'd learned something, grown somehow, become a better person. But mostly I just hoped I'd never have to think about him again. The truth is, I don't regret faking the amnesia. It gave me the information I needed to protect myself, to take control of a situation where I had none. If I'd confronted Marcus immediately after the accident, if I'd given him warning, he would have manipulated the narrative, hidden evidence, convinced me I was crazy or paranoid. The amnesia was my shield, my weapon, my advantage. It let me see him clearly for the first time in 15 years. Do I regret the revenge? Sometimes. When I think about the kids, about how their lives were upended, I feel guilty. They didn't deserve to suffer because of their father's sins. But then I remember that they were suffering anyway, just invisibly. Growing up in a family built on lies, learning from their father that deception is acceptable, that you can have whatever you want as long as you're smart enough to hide it. Maybe exposing the truth was the kindest thing I could have done for them. Maybe it taught them that actions have consequences, that honesty matters, that love without trust is worthless. I don't know. I'm still figuring it out. Healing isn't linear. Some days I feel strong and empowered and proud of how I handled everything. Other days I feel broken and betrayed and angry all over again. That's normal, my therapist says. Trauma doesn't resolve neatly. It stays with you, becomes part of you, changes you in ways you can't always predict or control. But I'm moving forward. I'm dating again, slowly, cautiously, learning to trust my instincts and set boundaries and recognize red flags before they become disasters. I'm working on new design projects, reconnecting with old friends, traveling to places Marcus and I never went together. I'm building a life that's mine, fully mine, not shared or split or stolen. And sometimes late at night, when I can't sleep and my mind wanders back to that moment in the hospital when I decided to fake amnesia, I wonder what would have happened if I'd made a different choice. If I'd confronted Marcus right away. If I'd stayed ignorant forever. If I'd chosen to forgive instead of seeking justice. But then I remember the relief on his face when I said I didn't remember him. I remember the secret phone and the photos of his other family and the years of systematic lies. I remember that this wasn't a mistake or a slip-up or a moment of weakness. This was a calculated, sustained, deliberate betrayal. And I know I made the right choice. Not the easy choice but the right one. Now here I am, standing in his mother's living room, watching my husband of 15 years sob on his knees, begging me not to call the woman he's been married to for the past 12 years. The pregnancy test in my hand isn't mine. It's hers. Sarah sent it to me this morning with a note that said, "He tried to come back. Said he wanted to work things out. Thought you should know he's still lying." Because that's the thing about people like Marcus. They don't change. They don't learn. They just keep lying, keep manipulating, keep trying to have everything they want without paying the price. But this time I'm not the unknowing wife. This time Sarah isn't either. This time we're both wide awake and we're done playing his games. "Emma, please," Marcus begs, still on his knees. "Please don't tell her you know. Can fix this. Can make it right." I look down at him, this man I once loved, this man I once trusted with my whole heart, and I feel nothing. Not anger, not sadness, not even pity. Just a cold, clear certainty that I'm exactly where I need to be. "Stand up, Marcus," I say quietly. "Have some dignity." He stands, his face red and blotchy from crying. His mother sits on the couch behind him, her face pale with shock. When I called her an hour ago and asked her to be here, she'd been confused but agreed. Now she understands why. She needs to see this. She needs to witness what her son has become. "Is it true?" she asks him, her voice shaking. "Did you go back to Sarah? After everything that happened, after the divorce, after you promised you'd get help and work on yourself, you went back to her?" "Mom, it's complicated," Marcus starts. "It's not complicated," I interrupt. "It's actually very simple. Sarah called me 2 weeks ago. Said Marcus had shown up at her door, flowers in hand, saying he'd made a mistake. That he realized his real family was in Nebraska, with her and the kids. That he wanted to try again. She almost believed him. Almost let him back in. But then she took a pregnancy test and it came back positive." Marcus's mother gasps. "She's pregnant. Again." "No," I say, holding up the test. "This isn't hers. She took the test because she's been careful, using protection, ever since they started sleeping together again last month. She took it because something felt off. Because Marcus kept mentioning how he'd always wanted more kids. How Jake and Lily were getting older and maybe they should expand their family. She took it to prove to him she wasn't pregnant so they could discuss family planning rationally. But when it came back positive, she realized the truth." I watch Marcus's face drain of color. He knows where this is going. He knows I know. "The test is positive because it's not Sarah's," I continue. "It's from the woman Marcus has been seeing here in Richmond. A 26-year-old pharmaceutical sales rep named Jenna who works at the same company he does. Sarah did some digging after she found the test in Marcus's overnight bag. Turns out Marcus has been juggling 3 women. Sarah in Nebraska, me occasionally when he needs something, and now Jenna, who has no idea about either of us and is currently 3 months pregnant with his child." The silence that follows is deafening. Marcus's mother stands up slowly, walks over to her son, and slaps him across the face. Hard. The sound echoes through the room. "How dare you," she says, her voice low and dangerous. "How dare you do this to these women? To yourself. Our family. What is wrong with you? Mom, I can explain, Marcus says, holding his cheek. No, she says firmly. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear your excuses or your rationalizations or your lies. I'm done. I raised you better than this. Your father would be ashamed. She turns to me, tears streaming down her face. Emma, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for what my son has put you through. If there's anything I can do, anything at all, please tell me. Actually, I say, there is something you can do. Sarah and I need you to testify. Testify? Marcus's eyes go wide. What are you talking about? Sarah changed her mind. I say calmly. About the bigamy charges. When she found out about Jenna, when she realized you haven't changed at all, that you're still the same manipulative liar you've always been, she decided she's done protecting you. We're pressing charges. All of them. Bigamy, fraud, emotional abuse. And we need witnesses who can confirm your pattern of behavior, your character, your ability to lie convincingly for extended periods of time. You can't do this, Marcus says, panic creeping into his voice. Mom, tell her she can't do this. His mother looks at him with something like disgust. She can do whatever she wants. You brought this on yourself. I'll lose everything, he says desperately. My job, my reputation, my freedom. Is that what you want? To destroy me completely? I want you to face consequences, I say. For once in your life. You've been operating without consequences for years, Marcus. You lied to me for 12 years of our marriage. You lied to Sarah for her entire relationship with you. You're lying to Jenna right now. You've hurt so many people, created so much damage, and you've never once had to truly pay for it. That ends now. What about Jenna, he asks. What about the baby? If I go to jail, I can't support them. Jenna knows, I tell him. Sarah and I told her everything yesterday. Showed her the evidence, the photos, the documentation. She's devastated, obviously. But she's smart. She's filing a paternity suit to ensure the baby gets financial support regardless of where you end up. And she's pressing harassment charges for the lies you told her, the false identity you presented. Turns out telling someone you're single and available when you're actually married to 2 different women is illegal in some contexts. Marcus backs up until he hits the wall, slides down it until he's sitting on the floor. He looks defeated, broken. And for a second, just a second, I feel something like sympathy. But then I remember the years of lies. The secret phone. The stolen money. The way he looked relieved when I said I didn't remember him. The sympathy evaporates. Why are you doing this? He asks, looking up at me. I know I hurt you. I know I messed up. But this feels like you're trying to ruin my entire life. I'm not trying to ruin your life, I say. I'm trying to make sure you can't ruin anyone else's. You're a danger, Marcus. Not a physical danger, but an emotional one. You're toxic. You destroy trust and families and futures. You need to be stopped. So this is revenge. No, I say honestly. This is justice. Revenge would be making you suffer for the sake of suffering. Justice is making sure you face appropriate consequences for your actions. There's a difference. His mother kneels down beside him, not touching him, just looking at him with sad, tired eyes. You could have been so much better than this, she says softly. You had everything. A loving wife, a good job, opportunities, potential. And you threw it all away because you were selfish and greedy and cowardly. I don't know how to help you anymore. I don't even know if I want to. She stands up, walks to the door, pauses. Emma, Sarah, if you need me to testify, I will. I'll tell them everything I know about Marcus's character. His patterns, his behavior. It's the least I can do for the women he's hurt. Thank you, I say quietly. She leaves. Just walks out of her own house, leaving Marcus and me alone. He looks up at me, mascara-stained tears on his face, and I see him clearly for the first time. Not as my husband. Not as the man I loved. Not even as the villain in my story. Just as a deeply damaged person who causes damage everywhere he goes. I'm going to give you a choice, I tell him. The same choice I gave you before, except this time there's no wiggle room. You can either turn yourself in, cooperate with the investigation, plead guilty, and accept whatever sentence you get. Or you can fight this, drag it out, force Sarah and me and Jenna to testify in a public trial where every detail of your life gets exposed to the world. Choice. Some choice, he mutters. It's more than you gave us, I point out. We didn't get to choose whether you'd lie to us, whether you'd build secret families behind our backs, whether you'd steal from us emotionally and financially. You made all those choices without our input. Now you get to make one choice with full knowledge of the consequences. That's fair. He's quiet for a long time, staring at the floor, his shoulders shaking with silent sobs. Finally he speaks. If I cooperate, if I plead guilty, what happens to the kids? Jake and Lily will be fine. Sarah's a good mom. She's got a support system, a therapist for the kids, a plan for moving forward. They'll be okay. And Jenna's baby will have a mother who loves them and financial support from you. Whether you're present in that child's life or not is up to Jenna. And honestly, after what you did, I'm guessing not. But the baby will be provided for. And you? He asks, finally looking up at me. How are you? The question catches me off guard. After everything, after all of this, he's asking how I am. I'm healing, I say truthfully. It's a process. Some days are harder than others. But I'm getting there. I'm building a life that's mine, one you can't touch or taint or take from me. I really did love you, he says quietly. In the beginning. Before everything got complicated. I loved you. I know, I say. I believe you. But love isn't enough if it's not accompanied by respect, honesty, and loyalty. You loved me, but you loved yourself more. You loved the idea of having everything you wanted more than you loved any of us enough to make an actual choice. I'm sorry, he says. For whatever that's worth. I'm sorry for all of it. It's worth something, I admit. Not forgiveness, not reconciliation, but acknowledgement. That's a start. He nods slowly, pulls himself to his feet. I'll cooperate, he says. I'll plead guilty. I'll accept whatever consequences come. You're right. I need to face this. I need to stop running. Good, I say. Sarah and I will inform our lawyers. They'll coordinate with the prosecutor. You should get your own lawyer, obviously. Good one. Yeah, he says hollowly. Obviously. I turn to leave, then pause at the door. Marcus. Yeah. Get help. Real help. Therapy, counseling, whatever it takes. Because even after you serve your sentence, even after you've paid your legal debt, you'll still have to live with yourself. And right now, I don't think you even know who that self is. I don't wait for his response. I walk out of that house, get in my car, and drive away. I don't look back. There's nothing left there for me. No closure I haven't already found. No answers I still need. Just a broken man facing the consequences of his own choices. The legal process takes another 8 months. Marcus pleads guilty to bigamy, fraud, and multiple counts of identity deception. He's sentenced to 3 years in prison with the possibility of parole after 18 months. It's not a long sentence, but it's something. More importantly, it's on his record forever. He'll never be able to hide what he did. Any future employer, any future partner, any future friend will be able to see exactly what kind of person he is. Sarah, Jenna, and I all give victim impact statements at his sentencing. We talk about the betrayal, the trauma, the financial and emotional damage. We talk about the therapy bills and the sleepless nights and the way he fundamentally altered our ability to trust. The judge listens, nods sympathetically, and when it's time to deliver the sentence, she looks directly at Marcus and says something I'll never forget. Mr. Richardson, you didn't just betray 3 women. You betrayed the fundamental social contract that allows relationships to function. You created families under false pretenses, made promises you never intended to keep, and exploited the trust and love of good people for your own selfish desires. The sentence I'm giving you today isn't just about punishment. It's about protecting future potential victims from your pattern of deception. I hope you use your time incarcerated to reflect on the person you've been and decide to become someone better. After the sentencing, Sarah, Jenna, and I go out for coffee. It's strange, the three of us sitting together, bonded by our shared experience with the same terrible man. But it's also kind of beautiful. We're survivors. We're warriors. We're women who refused to be victims, who stood up for ourselves and each other, who demanded justice and accountability. Jenna's showing now, 5 months pregnant, her hand resting protectively on her belly. I've been thinking about names, she says. If it's a girl, I want to name her Grace. Because even though the circumstances are awful, this baby is a gift. A chance for something good to come from something bad. I like that, Sarah says. Grace. It's perfect. What about you? Jenna asks her. How are Jake and Lily doing? Better, Sarah says. They're in therapy. They're angry and confused and hurt. But they're resilient. Kids are so much more resilient than we give them credit for. They'll get through this. And you? Ask. How are you holding up? Sarah smiles, and it's genuine. I'm good. Really good, actually. I started dating someone. A teacher at Jake's school. He knows everything about Marcus, everything that happened, and he's still here. He's patient and kind and honest. It's refreshing. That's great, I say, and I mean it. You deserve someone good. So do you, she says, turning to me. Are you seeing anyone? Sort of, I admit. Nothing serious yet. But I'm open to it. I'm not ready to let Marcus's betrayal define my entire romantic future. I'm cautiously optimistic that good men exist. They do, Jenna says firmly. My dad, my brother, my uncle, they're all proof. Marcus was an anomaly. Cautionary tale. But he's not representative of all men. We sit there for hours talking, laughing, sharing stories. It's therapeutic in a way I didn't expect. These women understand what I went through in a way no one else can. We're trauma bonded, sure, but it's more than that. We're friends. Real friends. United by our past but not defined by it. As I drive home that evening, I think about the journey I've been on. From the car accident that started everything to the sentencing that ended it, I've traveled through shock, betrayal, rage, grief, and finally acceptance. I've learned things about myself I never knew. I'm stronger than I thought, more resourceful, more capable of surviving devastating loss and coming out the other side intact. I've also learned that revenge is complicated. It's not the straightforward emotional satisfaction that movies and books make it out to be. Yes, Marcus is in prison. Yes, he's facing consequences. Yes, justice was served. But that doesn't erase the 15 years he stole from me. It doesn't undo the trauma or heal the wounds overnight. Revenge is just one step in a much longer process of recovery. The real victory isn't that Marcus is in prison. It's that I'm out here, free, building a life I'm proud of. It's that Sarah is dating again and her kids are healing. It's that Jenna is preparing to be a mother with full knowledge of what she's walking into. We survived. We're not just surviving, we're thriving. That's the real revenge. Living well. Moving forward. Refusing to let him have any more power over our lives than he's already taken. 3 months after the sentencing, I get a letter from Marcus. It's forwarded through my lawyer, and at first, I almost throw it away without reading it. But curiosity gets the better of me. I open it carefully, unfold the lined paper covered in his familiar handwriting, and read. Dear Emma, I know I have no right to contact you. I know you probably don't want to hear from me. But I needed to write this, if only for myself. I've been doing a lot of thinking in here. A lot of therapy. A lot of reflecting on the person I was and the damage I caused. I want you to know that I finally understand. I understand what I did to you, to Sarah, to Jenna. I understand that I wasn't just lying to you all, I was lying to myself. Convincing myself that I could have everything, that my happiness justified any means, that the ends would somehow make the means okay. I was wrong. So fundamentally wrong. I destroyed lives. Created trauma. I hurt people I claimed to love. And for what? For ego. For greed. For some twisted sense of entitlement. I don't even know anymore. What I do know is that I'm sorry. I'm sorrier than I've ever been for anything in my life. Not because I got caught. Not because I'm in prison. But because I finally comprehend the magnitude of what I did. The trust one violated. The futures I altered. The pain I caused. You didn't deserve that. None of you did. I hope someday you can forgive me. Not for my sake but for yours. So you can move forward without the weight of anger and resentment holding you back. I hope you find happiness. Real happiness. With someone who deserves you. Someone who chooses you completely. Someone who would never dream of doing what I did. You deserve that and so much more. Take care of yourself, Emma. Marcus. I read the letter 3 times, processing every word, every sentence, every carefully constructed apology. Part of me wants to believe he means it. Part of me wants to believe he's genuinely changed, that he's finally taking responsibility, that he's becoming a better person. But another part of me, the part that lived through his lies, knows that Marcus is excellent at saying what people want to hear. Maybe this letter is genuine. Maybe it's manipulation. Maybe it's both. I fold the letter back up, put it in a drawer, and decide not to respond. Whether his apology is real or not doesn't matter. I don't need his words to move forward. I don't need his permission or his absolution or his acknowledgement. I've already done the work of healing. I've already built my new life. Marcus is a chapter I've closed. His attempts to reopen it, however well-intentioned, are irrelevant. Sarah and Jenna both receive similar letters. We compare them over video chat, laughing at the similarities in phrasing, in structure, in emotional manipulation disguised as accountability. We decide together not to respond. Let him sit with his guilt. Let him wonder if we read his letters or threw them away unopened. Let him experience uncertainty for once instead of always being the one pulling the strings. Jenna has her baby 3 weeks early. A beautiful, healthy girl she names Grace Emma Mitchell, using my name as a middle name as a gesture of friendship and solidarity. Cry when she tells me. It's one of the most touching things anyone has ever done for me. I visit her in the hospital, hold tiny Grace in my arms, and marvel at how something so pure and innocent could come from something so messy and painful. She's perfect, I whisper, looking down at the sleeping baby. She is. Jenna agrees. And she'll never know her father. I've decided. When she asks, I'll tell her the truth, age-appropriately. But Marcus won't be part of her life. He's giving up his parental rights as part of a deal with my lawyer. Financial support but no custody, no visitation, no contact. It's better this way. Are you sure? Yes. I'm sure, she says firmly. He's not capable of being a good father. Jake and Lily are proof of that. They had him part-time for years, and look at the damage he did. I won't put Grace through that. She deserves better. She deserves you, I say. And she's lucky to have you. A year passes, then another. Life moves forward the way it does, regardless of trauma or pain or upheaval. I get promoted at work, leading a team of designers on high-profile projects. I go on dates, some good, some terrible, some forgettable. I travel to Italy and Thailand and Peru, places I always wanted to visit but never did because Marcus preferred familiar, safe vacation spots. I reconnect with old friends and make new ones. I see a therapist regularly, working through my trust issues and learning healthy relationship patterns. Sarah gets engaged to her teacher boyfriend. She invites me to the wedding, and I go, happy to celebrate her happiness. Jake and Lily are the ring bearer and flower girl, both smiling, both healing, both moving forward. It's a beautiful ceremony, simple and heartfelt, everything Sarah's sham marriage to Marcus wasn't. Jenna starts her own business, a consulting firm for pharmaceutical companies. She's brilliant and driven and successful. Grace is 2 now, a chatty, energetic toddler who calls me Auntie Emma and runs to me with outstretched arms every time I visit. I'm her godmother officially, legally, a role I take seriously. I want to be there for Grace, to show her what healthy relationships look like, to be a positive female role model as she grows. Marcus is released on parole after serving 20 months. I hear about it through my lawyer, who informs me as a courtesy. Part of his parole conditions include mandatory therapy, community service, and prohibited contact with any of his victims unless we initiate it. He moves to another state, gets a job in a different industry, starts over under the shadow of his criminal record. I don't reach out. Neither does Sarah. Neither does Jenna. We've all moved on. His chapter in our lives is closed, sealed, finished. Whatever he does now, whoever he becomes, it's no longer our concern. We did our part. We held him accountable. We got justice. The rest is up to him. Sometimes late at night I still think about the accident that started everything. About the split-second decision to fake amnesia instead of confronting Marcus immediately. About how different my life might be if I'd made another choice. But I don't regret it. That decision led me here, to this life, to these friendships, to this version of myself that's stronger and wiser and more authentic than the woman I was before. Would you have done the same thing in my position? If you woke up from a traumatic accident and sensed something was wrong with your partner, would you have the courage to investigate even if it meant uncovering devastating truths? I think about that question a lot. About whether most people would choose comfortable ignorance over painful truth. About whether I was brave or just stubborn or maybe both. And here's the real question that keeps me up at night. Was my revenge justified? I exposed Marcus's lies, destroyed his life, sent him to prison. Yes, he deserved consequences. Yes, what he did was wrong. But did he deserve everything I did to him? Or did I go too far? Where's the line between justice and vengeance? Between appropriate consequences and excessive punishment? I honestly don't know. Some days I feel completely at peace with my choices. Other days I wonder if I should have handled things differently. Been less calculating. Less cold. Less focused on maximum impact. Maybe I could have just filed for divorce quietly, moved on with my life, let karma handle Marcus in its own time. Maybe the elaborate exposure, the coordinated revenge, the strategic dismantling of his life was overkill. But then I think about Jake and Lily and Grace. About the lessons they learned from watching their father face consequences. About how they'll grow up knowing that actions matter, that lies have repercussions, that you can't just hurt people without accountability. Maybe what I did wasn't just about revenge. Maybe it was about setting a precedent, teaching a lesson, making sure that Marcus's children understood that what their father did was unacceptable, and that the women he hurt were strong enough to fight back. So I'm asking you genuinely, what would you have done? If you discovered your partner had a secret family, would you confront them immediately or gather evidence first? Would you seek revenge or just walk away? Would you press charges or handle it privately? And most importantly, how do you know when justice crosses into vengeance? When appropriate consequences become excessive punishment? These are the questions I'm still wrestling with years later, long after the dust has settled and the wounds have scarred over. Because revenge isn't clean. It's not simple. It doesn't resolve neatly with credits rolling and lessons learned. It's messy and complicated and morally ambiguous. And maybe that's okay. Maybe living in that ambiguity, accepting that there are no perfect answers, is part of what it means to be human. What do you think? Have you ever been betrayed so deeply that you wanted revenge? And if you got it, did it feel the way you expected? I'd really love to know if others have walked this path and what they discovered about themselves along the way.